So we talked about the primary effects of the controls. Now let's talk about the secondary and the further effects of the controls. So we'll start with the ailerons. The input is the control column, and you have a left and right aileron, and they move up and down. Controls the aircraft along the longitudinal axis, and the primary effect is roll. So let's say we're rolling to the right. So if I'm rolling to the right, my right-hand aileron will come up, and my left-hand aileron will go down. The aircraft will then bank to the right. However, as I bank to the right, I will encounter my secondary effect, yaw, because as we're banking to the right, our lift vector is now inclined, and it cannot support the weight of the aircraft. So we now start to side slip. As we side slip, there is more air now hitting the right-hand side of the fuselage, the body of the plane, and it's also hitting the vertical stabilizer, also called the fin, as we talked about. By hitting the right-hand side of the fin now, the aircraft will yaw in the same direction of the bank. So that's the secondary effect, the yaw. The further effect is after we roll, we yaw, and then we spiral. Moving on to the elevator, the input is a control column, and it moves the elevator up and down like such. The axis that controls it, the aircraft, is along the lateral axis. Primary effect, as we talked about, is pitch. How about the secondary effect? Well, let's say we're pitching up. So as we pitch up, the elevator moves up, the aircraft pitches up, and we have a decrease in airspeed. Vice versa, if we were pitching down, the elevator would move down, and we would have an increase in airspeed. The further effect is an increase or decrease in altitude. And finally, we have the rudder. The rudder is controlled with the pedals, left and right. Controls the aircraft along the normal axis. The primary effect is yaw. And let's talk about the secondary effect. So let's say we want to yaw to the right. We would step on the right-hand pedal. The rudder would move to the right. The aircraft would yaw to the right. And since now this aircraft is traveling this wing is traveling further than the left wing, it's creating more lift. And by creating more lift, the wing will lift up. As the wing will lift up, we then encounter our secondary effect, the roll. The further effect would then be the spiral. And those are the secondary and the further effects of the controls.